People used to tell me I was lucky. They admired my house, my career, the way my wife and I stepped out of the car looking polished and successful. From the outside, my life looked flawless. From the inside, I was quietly suffocating. I spent decades polishing an image while the real parts of me faded into the background. I chased applause so relentlessly that I forgot to ask who was clapping or why it mattered. Now I am 89 years old, sitting alone in a house that once felt like proof of success. And I finally understand something I should have learned much earlier. Let me tell you what pretending cost me. My name is Harold Whitmore. I turned 89 this spring. The house I live in has 12 rooms, but I only use 2, the kitchen and the living room. The rest stay closed, untouched, like memories I don't revisit. A long mahogany dining table stretches across the dining room, built to seat 10. Only one chair is worn, mine. On the wall behind me hang framed awards: Executive of the Year, Community Leadership Recognition, Distinguished Service. The glass has begun to fog at the corners. Dust settles on the frames faster than I wipe it away. In the evening, sunlight hits those plaques just right. They still shine. But the room is quiet. No footsteps upstairs. No laughter in the hallway. Just the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my own breathing. In the late 1950s, I was a young man terrified of being ordinary. I grew up in a modest household. My father worked with his hands. My mother stretched every dollar. I promised myself I would be seen. By the 1960s, I had a management position, a sharp suit, and a growing reputation. I quickly learned that people treated you differently when your title sounded impressive. I liked that feeling. I began confusing admiration with love. I married a woman named Eleanor. She was gentle, thoughtful, and happiest in quiet moments. I was happiest where people were watching. Company dinners, banquets, charity galas. I said yes to every invitation that made me look successful. Even our wedding felt more like a statement than a promise. In the 1970s, the house got bigger. The car got newer. I joined a country club. I bought a grand piano that no one in our home knew how to play. It looked impressive by the window. That was enough for me. I mistook applause for connection. There are memories that still visit me at night. One afternoon, my son David stood in my study doorway holding a baseball glove. "Dad, can you come outside?" he asked. I was preparing a presentation for an important client. I didn't even turn fully toward him. "Not now, this is important." He paused. Then he said, "Okay." The door closed softly. I told myself I was doing this for him. I didn't realize that to a child, an hour of catch means more than a promotion. Another night I came home from receiving an award. There had been applause, speeches, admiration. I felt proud. When I entered the bedroom, Eleanor was sitting on the edge of the bed, quietly crying. "Do you even see us anymore?" she asked. I brushed it aside. I told her she was being emotional. The next morning I told colleagues about the award. I did not mention her tears. The more impressive my life looked, the more fragile it became. Bigger mortgage, higher expectations, more pressure to maintain the appearance. There were months when money tightened, but I refused to scale back. We had to look successful. I smiled at neighbors during barbecues while tension filled my own home. We posed for perfect holiday photos. What those photos don't show is how little we spoke after the camera was put away. Keeping up the lie became my full-time job. The breaking point arrived quietly. Eleanor asked for a divorce when I was 58. She said she had felt alone for most of our marriage. I was stunned. I had given her everything, or so I thought. She said something I will never forget. "You gave us everything except yourself." Years later, at my retirement party, there were speeches and laughter. They praised my leadership, my results, my dedication. No one spoke about who I was beyond the office, because they didn't know. That night, I came home alone. I set the gold watch from the ceremony on the kitchen counter. I stood in the middle of the living room and looked at the awards on the wall. They suddenly felt small. The silence in that house was louder than any applause I had ever heard. It would be easy to blame society, or ambition, or expectations, but no one forced me to pretend. I chose it. I was afraid of being ordinary. I compared myself constantly. I needed validation the way lungs need air. I believed if people admired me enough, I would finally feel secure. I built a life designed to impress people who were too busy impressing others themselves. The phone rarely rings now. When I was in the hospital last year, the nurse asked who to call. I hesitated. Success does not visit you in the hospital. Titles do not sit beside your bed. Applause does not hold your hand. Image fades. Relationships remain, or they don't. I built something beautiful on the outside and neglected what mattered inside. I invested in wood, marble, and reputation, but not enough in time, presence, and honesty. Impressing strangers is expensive. It will cost you evenings you cannot buy back. It will cost you conversations that only happen once. Your children will not remember your job title. They will remember whether you showed up. Choose peace over applause. Choose connection over comparison. Real wealth is who stays when you fail, not who claps when you win. Do not build a life you must constantly defend or perform. If pretending exhausts you, listen to that feeling. It is telling you the truth. If everyone stopped watching, no neighbors to impress, no colleagues to outshine, no audience at all, would you still choose the life you're living? At 89 years old, I can tell you this without bitterness, only honesty. A life that looks perfect from the outside can be painfully empty on the inside. And when the applause fades, the silence is all that remains.